All right, Shalom. We the Hebrew Israelites, we come in, at you with another lesson through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. We want to give all the praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. This is the brother Mayum.
Mike Allah.
We want to give double honor to the others apostles of Great Millstone. And sincere salutations to the Akim out there who are diligently pushing out his truth and sincerity. So we want to go into this article here. As you can see, is entitled Encomienda. All right, and we're going to go a little bit into this just to further prove that the so-called Latinos and Native Americans, all right, are a part of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, because as we were getting ready to find out, the Northern Kingdom, as well as the Southern Kingdom, we all went through the same things. All right, matter of fact, if you can get that precept real quick, Judah and Ephraim, or
Jeremiah.
Get that, Bogashar. They were pressed together. All right, because you got a lot of clowns out here who think that the so-called or the Israelites are only the black so-called Negroid descent, and then you also got clowns out here who think that it's just Latinos and Native Americans that are the Israelites. All right, get that?
God, this is Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 33. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shai of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together.
Yep, exactly, man. We were oppressed together, meaning we went through the same things, man. Okay, and as we're getting ready to find out, a lot of the things that did occur to the Native Americans and the so-called Latino tribes, all right, it happened to the so-called Negroes after, because these atrocities that we're getting ready to read, they happened before the so-called Negroes were brought over here on slave ships. Okay, so real quick, let's go ahead and get into this article. All right, and as you can see, it's entitled Encomienda. All right, and we're going to read a little bit about what this means, and then we're going to skip down to a little subsection of this article. But it says encomienda, it says, was a Spanish labor system that rewarded conquerors with the labor of particular groups of subject people. All right, and who were those conquerors? All right, those were those Spanish-speaking Edomites. All right, and that's why you have a lot of those, a lot of the tribes out there in the Caribbean. All right, mainly Manasseh, Simeon, Ephraim, Asher, Naphtali, all right, Zebulon, Issachar. A lot of those tribes out there, the main dialect that they speak is that Spanish, because they were conquered by those Spanish-speaking Edomites. Okay, it says, I think that's pretty much it that I wanted to read there. Let me see. Let's read this second paragraph here. It says, encomiendas devolved from their original Iberian form into a form of communal slavery. And the encomienda, the Spanish crown granted a person a specific number of natives from a specific community, but did not dictate which individuals in the community would have to provide their labor. It says indigenous leaders were charged with immobilizing the assets, tribute, and labor. In turn, encomenderos were to ensure that the encomienda natives were given instruction in the Christian faith and Spanish language and protect them from warring tribes or pirates. Real quick, get that in Deuteronomy 49 of a strange tongue.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Come on.
It's, Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Because when these conquistadors, when they came out to the west, all right, to the New World as they called it, all right, what they found was not English-speaking natives. They didn't find Spanish-speaking natives. They found Hebrew Israelites. They found Hebrew-speaking people. All right, this is why Christopher Columbus came over here with Hebrew interpreters. Okay, so what? We just read it. Let's read this again. It says, in turn, and we're right here. All right, we're right there. It says, in turn, encomenderos were to ensure that the encomienda natives, all right, so the enslaved natives, were given instruction in the Christian faith, okay, and Spanish language, and protect them from warring tribes or pirates, they had to suppress rebellion against Spaniards and maintain infrastructure. In return, the natives would provide tributes in the form of metals, meaning resources, maize, which is corn, wheat, pork, and other agricultural products. All right, so we basically had to provide everything for these damn devils. That basically it was by force. All right, as we're getting ready to read, but they came over here and they forced onto us their languages. All right, they forced onto us this Christian faith, which is why our people are bugged the hell out. And it's not just that Christian faith; it was also that Catholic faith. All right, which a lot of the Spanish-speaking tribes speak. All right, including the North American Indians. All right, the tribe of Gad. All right, those tribes, they were more conquered by the Edomites, the English-speaking Edomites when they came, but they went through the same thing as well, man. All right, Esau came over here. He had Esau saying he would help protect them, help protect their villages, if they would just help them provide, teach them how to farm and all this and that. And then what would Esau do? He'd go back and kill him, man. Okay, and then put him into slavery. All right, this is where you get that story of Squanto. All right, he was what? That story of Squanto is that Squanto was one of the only Indians that spoke English. But why did he speak English? Because he got taken over to Europe over there as a slave, where he got taught English, and then he got brought back over here to help the Edomites basically swindle the rest of the tribes out of what they had, man. Okay, so this all goes into the Northern Kingdom, and it also goes for the Southern Kingdom. The same things happen to each people, man. All right, but now real quick, we're gonna go down to a couple other parts here. All right, we're gonna go down to the section where it says deaths, disease, and accusations of ethnocide or genocide, which is the same thing. Ethno and genocide. All right, they both go back to gene. All right, ethnicity. All right, and that acronym side means killing. All right, killing of the gene, or killing of the ethnicity. All right, which is what happened to our people. Not only to the so-called Negroes, but as well to the Latinos and Native Americans. Okay, so real quick, get this precept where it says is in Revelation, the devil hath come upon you with great wrath.
Revelation 12.
Okay. Because this is what happened to our people, and it's still happening to us this day, and it's getting ready to happen on another level to the same people, man. Go ahead.
Okay. So Revelation 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Mm-hmm. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. Mm-hmm. The devil has come down unto you, having great wrath.
Kind of. Who's the devil, man? All right, Esau, Edom. All right. Esau, Edom is the devil, because that word devil goes back to the Greek, or it's lucky the Latin word diablos, which means a slanderer or deceiver. All right, and this is what this devil has done. All right, as you can see in this little image, you got what looks like a native, a southern or northern kingdom native getting strung up by his hair by a conquistador, and there's blood coming out his mouth, man. Blood pouring out his mouth. This is what Esau came over here to do, to deceive our people, to believe that he was our friend, that he was going to give us protection. But from who? From our brothers? Come on, man. What we needed was protection from what was the same people that was promising us protection, man. Okay? Was that it on that?
Yeah. Because he knoweth that he had but a short time.
Kind of, exactly. See? These devils know that they had nothing but a short time, so they had to try to bring down our people as quickly and as easily as they could. And what better way to get our people to get down to a low state? Because our people are naturally a humble people, man. You know? And they came over here, you know, you help us, we help you. But that was in the story, as we're getting ready to find out, man. All right, so we're going to get into this little bit here. And we're going to read a little bit, and then we're going to get a couple precepts, and we'll close out on that. But we'll start here at the top. It says, Raphael Lemkin, coiner of the term genocide, considers Spanish abuses of the native population of the Americas to constitute cultural and even outright genocide including the abuses of the encomienda system. He describes slavery as cultural genocide par excellence, noting it is the most effective and thorough method of destroying culture, of desocializing human beings. And that's what Esau came to do, man. He came to destroy our culture because he knew that if we were to come back to our power, all right, that it would be over with, man. So he had to get us away as far as possible away from the Heavenly Father as he could, man. Which is why he pushed the Catholic faith and the Christian faith on our people, man. All right, that's why he did those things. Okay, he demoralized our people. Okay, to the point to where we had to come to him for the want of all things, like the scriptures say, man. You got a precept?
Yeah, the Jeremiah 17:4.
Come.
So Jeremiah 17:4, and thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee.
See, discontinue from our heritage, and here it is. We're reading about how we were forced to discontinue from our heritage. Yeah, there was a small time where our people were slowly going away from the original customs of the Hebrew Israelites, but guess what? They were still calling out on the name of the Lord. All right, you had the Taino tribes out in Puerto Rico that they would call the god Yahya, all right, which goes back to Yahweh. Okay, but they still had a broken version of what the scriptures speak about. Okay, they still had their customs. It was just a broken version of it. But when this devil came over here, his intent was to discontinue us completely from our customs, and he accomplished that, man. Okay, through the acts that he committed upon our people. Read that again, Bible Sean.
Jeremiah 17:4, and thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
God, and the land that thou knowest not, man. Because when we read in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, if I'm not mistaken, it talks about how our people came unto a way, all right, namely by a year and a half by ships, man, to get away from the captivity that they were going through, man. And they said that they would serve their gods, serve their God over here, serve Yahweh over here. So they came into a land. All right, they left the land over there during the time of the Assyrian captivity. All right, the land of Israel, that area over there. They left over there, the majority of the northern kingdom, and they came over to what's known as the New World, the Americas, the Caribbean. Okay, and this is where we had to serve our enemies, man. Because they eventually Esau came because he read the scriptures, he knew where we went. And he came over here and he got us, man. And we had to serve him, which is what we're reading upon, the encomienda, man. Okay? Go ahead, you had another precept?
Yeah, this is Micah chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds.
And that's what these devils did, man. All right? They devised iniquity and what? Devise iniquity and something else?
Yep. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds.
And work evil upon their beds, because all these devils were doing day and night was thinking of how they could get off on us and further demoralize us, man. Further break us down. Further take us away from our power, man. Okay? Go ahead.
When the morning is light, they practice it.
Then that's what they did, man. At nights they would ponder on how they gonna who they gonna whip tomorrow, what new structure they're gonna break in to further get our people to either have an excuse to kill us. Like, today the quota is gonna be 500 sugar cane stalks that you have to bring out to me, or 500 pounds of cotton. And if you don't get to it by today, you're gonna get your ass whooped, if not hung. And that's what they would do during the day. That's how they would practice it. Okay, go ahead.
Because it is in the power of their hand.
Is it power in their hands? Because our people didn't have no power at that time, man. Esau came over here with guns and powdered musket guns, man, just straight blasting the hole in Jake's chest, man. Well, our people were just bows and arrows, spears. We didn't have the weapon, the blessing that Esau had as far as a sword did, man. Okay, so he came over here and he destroyed our people, man. And we're showing you how the native tribes that were over here in the Americas and the Caribbean, man, we went through this as well as the Negro tribes, man. Okay, go ahead.
Micah 2:2, and they covered fields and take them by violence.
And they take them by violence. Is that not what we read as the definition of the encomienda? Which basically the encomienda was Esau promised the protection, you know, to the natives in lieu of the natives providing them with the resources, food, and their lands, man. And what? It turned into a whole thing of slavery, man. It was so bad, as we're getting ready to read, man, that people were dying out on the fields, man, working, building Esau's homes, man, just like the Southern Kingdom. Okay, it was the same thing, man. Okay, go ahead.
Micah 2:2, and they covered fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away.
Because what? They took our homes, man. They took us from our homes. Just look at the native tribes, or the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Reuben, but mainly more the tribe of Gad, man. Esau, what he would do, he would surround the houses. You know, he'd come out, he'd make some commotion so that the men would come out and try to fight the men, and they just blow away the men, and then they go in there and take the women and children, man. All right, these are things that Esau did to the northern tribes that's not really spoken about, man. Okay, go ahead.
So they oppress a man and his house.
You see, they oppressed a man in his house, man. They came over here to our lands, the lands that we owned, that we came over here and took over. Just look at the mass land that Gad had, Gad and Issachar, and what? All that got taken away. They got oppressed in their own lands, man, because of these devils. Okay, go ahead.
Even a man and his heritage.
You see, even a man in his own heritage, man. Okay. That was it on that precept?
Yeah, that was it.
Kind. So going back to this article now, we're going to scroll down a little bit. Start here. It says he considers colonists guilty due to failing to halt the abuses of the system despite royal orders, which there was. You really go into the whole the royal the crown, the Spanish crown, sending orders to stop the abuse. You know, they weren't really serious about none of that stuff, and I don't even, to be honest, I don't even think they were really sending orders like that, because by the time a letter would come over here, it'd be a year and a half later. It'd be a total of 3 years, because there was one guy, as we'll read here in a little bit, I forget his name, but dude was he was sending letters over to the, here it is, Bartolome de la Casas, all right. He wrote a whole book. He got a whole book that I read. I think actually that book that you had gave me, that Taino, the native tribe book. I still got that at the crib, but it went in a little bit on this guy, and he would write letters to the crown over there, telling about how all these guys, all the basically the colonists, they were just completely abusing of their power, just straight killing everybody, man, working these people to death. So he was basically writing his grievances, and then the crown, you know, they were like, oh, this is more, blah, blah, blah. But nonetheless, the shit continued to go on. All right. So it says, he also notes right here, we're right there. It says he also notes the sexual abuse of Spanish colonizers of native women as acts of biological genocide. Go get that Deuteronomy 28 and 30. Read that.
Okay.
Just the first part of it.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
You see? This is what we're reading about what was happening to our people. This was an act of biological genocide, man. They were trying to get rid of our seeds, man. Because what? That's how you get rid of a nation. And you know, that's really what we're going to be doing to Esau, man. We're going to be killing off the men. You know, in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to be killing off the men, taking the women, until the point to where we're going to completely do away with them, and there's going to be nothing left of them. All right, but that's what they thought they was going to do to us. But what? Going back to Egypt, like the brother was speaking on in the video, and we were speaking about this, going back to Egypt, the more they oppressed us, the more we grew. All right, that's how resilient our people were, man. You know? So it says, continuing on in the article, it says, economic historian Timothy J. Yeager argued the encomienda was deadlier than conventional slavery due to individual labor's life being disposable in the face of simply being replaced with a laborer from the same plot of land. You see? So Jake would just work himself to death because of Esau, and then they didn't care. Oh well, nigga died. Go get another one from his village, and we'll put him back in. We'll put him to work and take over for him. You see? Is that not the same thing that happened to the so-called Negroes? Okay. Continuing on.
I got it.
Go
I
ahead.
got a quick precept. This is Genesis chapter 3 and verse 19. In the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread, till thou return unto the ground.
You see? We're gonna be tilling. We're gonna be tilling and working until we return back to the ground, man. Even more so in the time of slavery, man. Matter of fact, I think there's a scripture in Deuteronomy 28 where it talks about that shall sow much seed and not reap.
Oh yeah, I just saw it. I read past it. Yeah, let me read this and I'll get this.
Yep.
Genesis chapter 3 verse 19. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it was thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return.
You see, so that was a curse that was a curse from the beginning that the Lord put on us, because what, we went off in the Garden of Eden, you know.
Yeah, I got it.
Go
About the seed, right?
Yep.
This is Deuteronomy 28 verse 38. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shalt gather but little. And shalt gather but little in. For the locust shall consume it.
So we were the ones planting the sugar canes. We were the ones planting all these trees. We were the ones picking or planting the cotton and picking it. But what? We didn't receive hardly any of it. Yeah, we got a little bit to make our raggedy clothes that we had if it wasn't hand-me-downs. But we weren't really reaping the benefits of our fruits of our labor, man.
Yep.
Okay.
This is verse 39.
Okay.
Deuteronomy 28 and 39. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but thou shalt neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them.
Okay. And you see, that's what happened, man, during the time of our captivity. Okay. Continue on in the article. It's starting here where it says University of Hawaii. It says University of Hawaii historian David Stannard describes the encomienda as a genocidal system which had driven many millions of native people in Central and South America to early and agonizing deaths. Now I'm gonna skip down a little bit. All right, Yep. Actually, I'm gonna start from the top here where it says Yale. Yale's University Genocidal Studies program supports this view regarding abuses in Hispaniola. Andres Resendez argues that even though the Spanish were aware of the spread of smallpox, which the same thing happened to the Native Americans. They had that spread of smallpox put on them through the blankets. Okay, it says they made no mention of it until 1519, a quarter century after Columbus. So, what is it? Quarter century is what? What is that, like 5 years?
A quarter century?
Yeah, that's 5 years, right? Because there's
quarters of a century is 25. A century is 100 years.
Oh, okay, I thought a century was 25 years. Okay, yeah, so 25 years. All right, it says 25 years after Columbus arrived, they didn't start making mention about this smallpox that they were spreading out there in the island of Haiti and Dominican Republic, man. And the other, I'm pretty sure by then it had already spread to other nations, to other islands. It didn't even got, to the Native Americans. It says, continuing on, it says instead he contends that enslavement in gold and silver mines was the primary reason why the Native American population of Hispaniola dropped so significantly, and that even though disease was a factor, the native population would have rebounded the same way Europeans did during the Black Death if it were not the constant enslavement that they were subject to. You see? So Esau was just straight battering our people with diseases, and then not only that, he wouldn't let us recoup. He would just put us into slavery and have us be put to death that way, man. And that went for all the tribes. Okay? Same thing happened with the so-called Negroes. All right, they got diseases on them. Okay, they got they had that what? They had that sickle cell. Yeah. All right, through the Tuskegee experiments. All right, I'm pretty sure they had other diseases put on throughout slavery, and Native Americans as well with the smallpox and other diseases. Okay, you had a precept?
Yeah, going to pestilence.
Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28 and 21. The
Hey,
Lord,
Salak, and real quick, remember this Deuteronomy 28 is going after verse 15 on down and going into the curses that would happen onto the nation of Israel. Okay, and here it is. We're correlating. We're showing you the history and showing you how also the so-called Latinos and Native Americans went through the same thing that the so-called Negroes went through. Showing you that we are the same people. We are all Israelites. Okay, go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28 and 21. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it.
You see? And we came over here to possess this land, to get away from our oppressors over there, to serve our power over here. But what? We got pestilences over here put on us. Okay? Mainly from these devils. Okay? So continuing on in this article, it says, right here, it says, according to anthropologist Jason Hickel, a third of Arawak workers died every 6 months. A third. Okay, a third of Arawak workers died every 6 months from lethal forced labor in the mines, man. You know, you had Judah, the Southern Kingdom tribes, they had to go through that cotton, the fields, and it seems like the Northern Kingdom, they were working in the mines, man, digging out the gold, digging out the silver, all right, digging out the majority of these resources that were in the Caribbean and South Americas, man, because those lands are heavy in resources, man. Okay, so Esau had to take advantage of that. All right, those lands had a lot of gold. Okay, so going down here now to the section called scope and number of victims. All right, and this is where it's going to get really heavy, and it goes to show you a very narrow picture of how many people were actually getting killed during these times. All right, and we're going to kind of just read through this fast, and then we'll close out here soon. This is Yale's University Genocide Studies program, while citing the decline of the Taino population of Hispaniola in 1942, or Salakia, 1492 to 1514, as an example of genocidal notes that the indigenous population declined from a population between 100,000 and 1 million to only 32,000, a decline of 68% to over 96%. All right, so almost 96% of the population of just the Taino population was done away with, man. Okay, continuing on, the native people of Mexico, the Issachaриtes, experienced a series of outbreaks of disease in the wake of European conquest, including a catastrophic epidemic that began in 1545, which killed an estimated 5 million to 15 million people. That's a lot of people, man. That's a lot of fucking people. Back in those days, that's a lot of people, man. It says up to 80% of the native population of Mexico, man. Almost 80% of the population got killed off in that year, man. Or that began in that year. It says followed by a second epidemic from 1576 to 1578, killing an additional 2 to 2.5 million people, or about 50% of the remaining native population. So 80% was already killed off. Then another 50% of the last 20% was killed. So 10% remained. It says recent research suggests that these infections appear to have been aggravated by the extreme climatic conditions of the time and by the poor living conditions and harsh treatment of the native people under the encomienda system of New Spain, man. So not only were our people plagued with diseases, but then they were further hindered or further afflicted because of the conditions that we were living in. Just, hey, the Southern Kingdom, we just watched that video earlier. Yeah. The small ass houses that Jacob was forced to live in, packed with like 15 people in there. Same thing was going on with our people, man. We weren't able to shower as we normally did. We were walking around in nasty clothes, dirty clothes, eating chitlins and all types of shitty food. That did nothing but just hinder our conditions, man. And made us to where we couldn't even live any further, man. We couldn't even live that long because we were just dying of the conditions and the health that we were in, man. Hey, the same thing to these same days, man. So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we don't live that long, man, compared to these other nations. All right, you have gooks out here who are living 120 something years, man. Meanwhile, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans making rap songs about how they barely living past 25. Okay? We're going to read a little bit more of this and then we'll close out. Because you by now you should get the point. I mean, you can see it goes into Nicaraguans, El Salvador, the Mayans. It goes into all these people who were just completely obliterated, and it gives you some statistics on these people, man. Okay, it goes into the Jamaica, which is the Southern Kingdom, Benjamin. It goes into the Hondurans, the Salvadorians. All right, it goes into a lot of information, you know. And, you know, we're going to close out on that. You know, there ain't much more. We'll read this last paragraph here. It says, one source claims the Spanish conquest was responsible for 1.4 to 2.3 million deaths, explicitly excluding tens of millions of deaths from New World disease, while Rudolf Rummel claims that 2 to 15 million indigenous peoples were killed by what he calls democide, government-caused murder, in the colonization of the Americas, mostly in Latin America, mostly implying anywhere from just over half to all but one. So around, look at that, 1 million to basically 15 million deaths, man, just from these people coming over here and conquering us, man. This is what happened. This was the result of those damn devils coming over here, man. This is what happened to our people. And this is the majority of these statistics are just including the South America, man. Just not including the Native Americans, which are almost completely obliterated. Okay? And then you bring about the so-called Negroes and what they went through. You know how many millions of people of us were killed, man, at the hands of these devils? You see? This is why these devils, man, they're going to pay, man. And you niggas out there that are trying to bring division amongst our people, man, when it's clear as and evident that our people are one and the same, that we all went through the same things, and the scriptures speak about the things that we had to go through as a nation. You niggas are going to receive judgment as well, man. Okay? Trying to bring about division, man. Okay? You got any closing words, brother?
No, that was it.
Okay. So with that, Lord willing, you guys were edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruchak Wadash. Double honor to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone. Much blessing and citations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth. Shalom.